Welcome everyone to the Pro Trade Room Plus and the PPI report. My name is Lee Goldstein, the Trading Director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember, I'm not a financial advisor. All the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. It is possible to lose money trading futures. Good morning everyone. Good morning in Pennsylvania. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. There's the link to our webinar on Friday at noon, talking about the range trade. Going to talk about the range trade. Good morning on YouTube. Good morning in the trade room. Good morning in the universe. It is a cloudy, but not a bad day. Not a bad day. I did not get a chance to really go through a lot of the big news. The big news is the market is waiting for the PPI report. That's the big news. Apple kind of met with a shrug, not a lot of excitement for Apple on their new products. I kind of liked what they did. I thought, if I think about it now, a day later, I guess I would call it pedestrian. Pedestrian. That's like it was as expected, pretty much as expected. One of the other problems too is what happens. It all gets leaked, so that if you follow a lot of the tech people on YouTube, we knew what they were going to do. We knew there was an Apple iPhone Air. Everybody knew it. It kind of takes the fun out of it. There's no surprise anymore. It was really a lot of fun when you truly did not know what they were going to do, and Jobs would go, oh, and just one more thing, and then he'd introduce the MacBook or the iPad. I mean, when he introduced the iPhone, if I remember correctly, that was the end of that webinar. And he said, oh, just one more thing. And he went off into the iPhone. It was fabulous. It was fun. Life is not fun these days. It's kind of dark. And it's too bad. And it's hard. It's hard sometimes. Anyway, Ray, Ray, I've been missing you. Where you been? We needed some prop account advice and you weren't around. My prop expert has not been around. Now I think Bullinox is having a sale. I think they're on an 80%, which is not bad. It's not the best sale. It's not bad. I'll throw our affiliate up if you want to if you want to get us rich, really rich, making us millions. It's kind of interesting. There is one company that, they make believe they're a trading company, and I'm not going to mention any names. They're not a trading company. They are a gigantic prop account affiliate. That's how they make all their money. We don't make money with our affiliate. It may be a couple of bucks because I don't really push it. Because we truly are trying to trade. That's what we're trying to do. And this one company, all they do is send a million emails. Prop this, prop that, prop sale. And I get it. That's a phenomenal way to make money. Just be an affiliate. You don't have to do anything else. If you find something great to be an affiliate of that people really want, and you can get in early and you can offer something also beyond just being an affiliate, if you know what I mean. You got to offer something. One of the problems in America today, or in the world today, everybody wants to make a living, right? And everybody wants easy money. Nobody wants to work hard to find something to offer. They just want easy money. It's not easy to make money. You got to offer something, right? Get AI to write an ebook. Calvin, I think it's got to be better than that. Honest. I don't know if you're kidding or you're serious, but if you're kidding, I agree. If you're not kidding, I think it's got to be way better than that. You know that. I think you're kidding. Sometimes, Calvin, I can't tell when you're kidding. But before I die, I'm coming to Texas. Folks, I believe the market's going to move on PPI. I believe, what's that song? I believe, da da da, da 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 da. Oh, no, wait a minute. Is that R. Kelly? Oh, we can't sing that. It's R. Kelly. R. Kelly wrote an anthem, and the dude's in jail maybe for the rest of his life. He wrote one of the most incredible anthems ever written. And I guess you could say he had a fatal flaw as a person. He had a fatal flaw. Anyway, Calvin, you're not allowed to mention that guy's name in here. No. All right. I do want to say hello to everyone on YouTube. I'm in a ranting kind of mood this week. A ranting kind of mood. Um, but let's talk trading. Let's look at the DMM. PPI report's important. We have three possible setups. No trap trade on gold today. No trap trade on gold. Um, we had a 55.70 brackets on trap trade on gold. And I think these reports are moving and have the potential to move so much, they make the trap trade pretty risky. For trap trade maniacs out there, if you want to use a 70 and a 90 on gold, I think that would work. That's with a 25 stop. That's a pretty aggressive, pretty big trap, 70 and 90. You'd have to move over 110 ticks in gold on this report to get stopped out at the time of the news. However, I think our breakouts are good setups. The MNQ has been working nicely last month. It's also, margins are up on this report, so if you're trading cash, it's very hard to trade the full size instruments unless you have a big cash account. Not everyone does. Okay. So the micros are really great on days that they raise margins. This was July. MNQ explodes for a profit through the targets on the right chart. The big issue on this report with prop, even in cash, could be whether you get a good fill. That's what could ruin these trades. Data feed issues, right? Not getting a good fill. Excuse me on YouTube for eating. Well, I'm starving. So I'm kind of on a diet. I guess I'm cheating this morning. You could see that the MNQ was great. The gold trap trade was difficult. In fact, it didn't work. But the MNQ worked July and August beautifully. We do, if you want to trade cash, I do believe ZF will have a decent move. Okay. Oh my God, Ray, I am so fat. I've had such a fat old man stomach. It's disgusting. I can't stand looking at myself after taking a shower. I don't know. Something happened like a year ago. I just couldn't stop eating. Couldn't stop eating. I want to lose like 20 pounds. MNQ. MNQ. So that's the main setup that I like. It's a breakout. So right click the chart, click strategies, double click news trader. Trade type is on breakout. 8:29:58 is the trigger time. The bracket is 75 ticks. It's a big bracket. It's pretty much the mid area. My big problem is I cannot exercise because I was hit by a car a couple of Thanksgivings ago, and I can't walk these days, unfortunately. It's really hard for me to exercise. I was thinking of doing that chair yoga thing because I could do that. So 75 on the bracket, targets 25 and 75. I don't think I can ride a bike because my biggest issue is my legs hurt really badly. I broke my ankle when I got hurt, tore my meniscus, um, and I have really bad nerve damage in my legs. Other than that, I'm doing great. It's the nerve damage that is the worst. It's like constant, unbearable, suicide level pain every moment of my life. No joke. I'm dead serious. And no one can, they have drugs, but drugs that if I took them, I couldn't trade, couldn't run a trade room. Because basically the drugs just make you unconscious so you don't feel the pain. Target is 75. Target 2. Target 1 is 25. This report can move more than 75 ticks. It can move more than 75 ticks, but it could reverse quickly too. So if you go for the biggest targets in the world and it reverses, sometimes if you're too greedy on targets, you won't be able to get out of the trade. Sometimes if you're medium aggressive on targets, it'll hit your targets and then it'll do a reversal. Sometimes it'll reverse before it hits your second target and it'll kind of ruin the trade. So not being too aggressive on targets can sometimes make you more money, believe it or not. We'll do a break even minus 5, BE minus 5, and the stop is 150. That's $75 roughly per contract. Now, it can be more in this report because you can blow through your stops. Stops could fail to print. This is the kind of report that can go haywire. You have to realize that. When you trade this kind of report, you are taking on extra risk, and I'm not trying to scare anybody out of this report. I'm trading it because it has traded well. Excuse me, but it is the kind of report that can have serious haywire activity. Haywire activity. And or it could just not, or you could get the orange orders of death where the everything freezes. MNQ, yes, Calvin, because of all the you could use NQ. It's interchangeable. I'd probably use a 50 stop if I use the NQ. Everything else would be the same. But I like micros on this because that's what most people can trade on this report. But you could certainly use NQ. You got me thinking. Maybe I'm going to use MNQ today. Maybe I'll change it up for CPI tomorrow. So 829.58, bracket is 75, targets of 25 and 75. Your targets can be between 20 and 150. Between 20 and 150. The stop is 150, and the idea is to shrink it when you hit the first target. Target one stop move, I'm using a BE minus 5. And then I'm going to label this breakout MNQ. I'm going to put the time to 0 for a moment. We're going to check our bracket. Right now we're on sim. Put your chart trader on bracket if you're testing your brackets like I do in the morning. Before each trade, really. Now, I'm not in love with the fact that our long fill is right at the high. I don't love that. I think inflation's going to be up. How could it be down? It, I mean, if you live in the world, we know inflation can't be down. Inflation is through the roof. Through the roof. Inflation is through the roof. There's not a single thing that anyone buys that is cheaper today than it was before the government changed, except maybe the price of gasoline. And eggs. And eggs were high priced, not because of inflation, but look at the science. Avian flu killed millions of chickens, had nothing to do with inflation. It doesn't take a genius to understand why eggs were high priced. That's reality. Look at the science when you want something, a question answered, if you can find a scientist. What account are we going to use? So I think this is a trade that I like. So we'll take a look at number 20, apply it, okay it. We have a bunch of different accounts. Most of them have been making nice comebacks all of a sudden. Yeah, we'll go with 20. It's above 50K. It's like brand new almost. And then we'll put our reverse continuation in there as well. Right click, add a second strategy to the chart. Reverse continuation, change breakout to reverse continuation. And that will be the same instrument, the same chart. Position one, I'll do a couple of contracts for a 50 tick target. It's one position, multiple contracts, 75 on the stop. So that I will trade in the same account and I will label it MNQ reverse continue. All right. Do we have anybody trading bonds this morning? Is anyone trading bonds? My insurance, wow, health insurance, my medical drug insurance doubled this year. Doubled. No joke. It doubled. I couldn't believe it. It doubled. Anyone trading bonds in cash? Anyone trading ZF in cash? Sal, I think I tried a tens unit like many, many, many years ago. Not recently. I always thought that was like a scam. My second setup is I'm going to watch bonds. I'm going to watch bonds. I think bonds are going to move nicely. Does it work for you, Sal? So ZF, and we also do have an RTY setup. Look, if we get a breakout for all, everything's going to break out, right? That's what's called a breakout for all. If it whipsaws, that ruins the trade. So we don't know what's going to happen. Bonds, 829.58. The bracket is 8. Targets of 6 and 15. BE minus 3 on bonds, and the stop is 15. Stop is 15. And I'm just simming bonds this morning. I'm just going to trade the MNQ, and we'll call it BRKZF. BRKZF. Unfortunately, in our prop account, we're not allowed to trade bonds. Not going to go on a rant about that this morning. It's an absurdity of incomprehensible proportions. We'll just leave it at that. An absurdity of incomprehensible proportions. That's putting it mildly. Not being able to trade bonds is like not being able to breathe air. Bonds also, I don't love the fact that everything's triggering at the high. That worries me. However, if you look at bonds, ZF is in quite the tight range. So it's sometimes when you're in a tight range, you can't help but trigger at major trigger points. Okay? Does anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions? I don't see Nitin. Yes, Nitin. Nitin, what are you doing on YouTube? 6J is a good possibility. You know what, Nitin? Let me just see my notes. Um, yeah, you know what? We really stayed with MNQ and didn't test heavily on the currency futures because MNQ's been doing well, ZF's been doing well on this report, but we have been looking more and more at currency futures for less whippy moves. Definitely for less whippy moves. 6J, definitely an interesting possibility on this type of a report. As is, it seems like the euro was our least interesting currency futures in our recent testing. Now, I think my coffee in the morning, my skunkin', Dunkin' Starbucks, stunkin', not skunkin', stunkin', Starbucks Dunkin' mixture is probably not good for the diet. It's got too many calories. I do cancel the whipped cream. Yeah, I love a ice cold brew coffee with cream cheese, with a bagel and cream cheese. Yeah, it's delicious in the coffee. Calvin, I agree. I'm not having anything inserted or implanted or surgically placed into my body. I've got enough pain. I don't need surgery on top of everything else. So we've got about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. I did not get sprinkles now on the drink. We got about 5 minutes watching ZF on the right, um, expecting year to year core PPI 3.5. I'm not hearing my streaming. Let me, my streaming news this morning. And you guys are hearing me just fine, huh? Bonds are very quiet. I like right click, click indicators, net net change display on ticks. Bonds are so quiet. I want to look at them on ticks. And they're only 7 ticks different from the way they were last evening. Now, that doesn't mean they could have moved a whole point overnight. That's the thing you have to understand when you use the net change display indicator, which we teach when you set up your charts. to put the net change display indicator on your chart. Don't forget that. So let's say you look at your charts first thing in the morning, and the net change is where my cursor is bouncing around here. That number is generated by the net change display. Net change, the net change indicator, right? That number is the movement of the instrument from last evening because of the way our trading hours template is set up. But it can be deceptive. When I come in the morning, first thing I do is I look at the chart and I say to myself, oh yeah, the MNQ is really bullish because the net change display indicator shows a positive number. But it might, if you look at the price action, it might not be bullish. And you'll understand that if you look at the price on a chart. Sometimes a chart might be bullish for the last minute or two, but it was bullish all night, bearish all night. So you don't want to just take the number as the final determination on whether or not there's an upward or a downward trend in the instrument you're trading. You want to dive a little deeper into trend so that you have a better understanding. And that's true of all indicators and all analysis. You don't want to just do a cursory. Cursory is fine, but sometimes you just want to check a little bit more deeply so that you're not doing the wrong analysis based on the right number or the wrong analysis based on the wrong number. So what's the expectation here? You don't even, I don't think there's any possible way to know even slightly what the news is going to be. I mean, as people, it's impossible. As knowledgeable news traders, for me, it's impossible. It's completely impossible to take the numbers that get released seriously. Certainly, the inflation numbers, these are reports, you can't take them seriously because we know they don't reflect real life. Other numbers, I'm just trying to think what report we can take seriously. But let's forget that for a second. The point is, it doesn't matter. We could sit here arguing back and forth about whether we think, oh, the government's telling the truth, they're not telling the truth, the numbers are fake, the numbers are not fake. It doesn't matter. What we care about, we talk about this every day in the room, we just want the numbers to come out when they're expected, and we want them to have an effect on the market so that we have a tradable result. That's all we care about. So if the inflation's up, down, or sideways, we don't really care. We can argue about that when we're done trading. All we want is a tradable move. That's what's important to us. So I think bonds are going to be good, and I'm going to be sorry I didn't trade it with cash. I mean, it's a lot more fun to argue about the politics, although not anymore. Years ago, it used to be fun to argue about politics. Now, someone might hit you in the head with a 2x4. Okay, we have a couple of seconds coming out. 15-ish. Our orders will go on the chart a couple of seconds before the news. There's our orders. Beautiful, perfect trade. Bonds looked like they didn't work. Bonds looked like they did not work. MNQ perfect, I think, was a perfect winning trade. Now, bonds, I was on sim, okay? Bonds I was on sim. It looks like the data feed, we'll look at the video. It looks like the data feed didn't work properly. What it looks like to me is what seems to have happened. It didn't exit the trade properly. That's what happened on bonds. Didn't exit the trade properly. I think on bonds, we have to almost double our brackets. I truly thought that the bond setup was only needing a huge, not huge, but a much, much bigger bracket on the jobs report. But we're seeing much, much bigger brackets are needed on all reports. That bonds are moving enough. I'm turning off my breakouts. Breakout MNQ. ZF I'm leaving alone for the moment. Now, MNQ burst up on the news. The news is tremendously good. It looks like tremendously good news. Looks like tremendously good news. Perfect trade on the MNQ. Let's get some reports. What happened? What'd you trade? What happened to you? I'm thinking that gold might have had a good breakout. So bonds, I'm just closing the sim. We'll look at the video in a moment. No one in the room said they were trading bonds. So I'm happy about that. Bonds didn't work properly. The MNQ, we're getting some reports like no fill. No fill. Sal, I had orange orders also, but they disappeared quickly and became normal. That's pretty expected on this kind of a report. As long as they don't stay orange very long, we can deal with it because the trade will most commonly take place normally in a breakout. This looks to me, I'm not hearing any of the news in my headset this morning, so I'm going to have to reboot. Definitely going to have to reboot. Bear with me. Let me check something. Keep reporting in, everyone. BC made quite a bit of money on Bullinox. Doc always there with a great trade, always. So let's see CPI, PPI Doc. Oh, Doc, great trade. How many contracts, Doc? $1,600 for Doc. Now, I'm thinking that I don't want to take, I would normally take a long on the MNQ here, but it's already making new highs. It did pull back. It did pull back. I'm just going to wait for the open this morning. I'll wait for the open trade. So Doc traded 6 contracts, made $1,600 on the NQ. Let's go through a few instruments. So let's look. NQ definitely had a good move. Look, the only reason we haven't been pushing the full-size instruments on CPI and PPI is because of margin, but I think we need to change immediately. Nobody's trading cash. Everyone's on prop. So it doesn't matter anymore. Margin doesn't matter in prop accounts. Oh, Doc, you traded YM. That was YM. So this was clearly, it looks like we had a breakout for all, but the bracket needed to be a decent. Gotta look at something here. Did anyone trade NQ? Anybody trade NQ? Our bracket was 75. Bracket was 75. Now, if that move was before it went up, that was a 50-something tick move down. So the bracket would have been perfectly safe. The reason we have a pretty big bracket is so you can survive a whippy entry. That's the reason for a bracket that's large. It's also, you're allowed to use a large bracket on a report that moves 200 ticks. Okay? If a report moves 200 ticks, don't you think you can have a 75 bracket? Because even with some slippage, you're going to have 100 ticks of profit available. Now, what was your bracket on that NQ, Calvin? What was your bracket? Because it looks to me there was a 53 tick move down before it went up. Look at that. Look. Look at this little wick. I think that I'm pretty sure that wick was a down move before it went up. Now, the way you tell 100%, just go to a smaller time frame. 52 ticks ballpark. Looking at the ES, and folks, we're close to rollover too. Very close to rollover. I'm positive that all the instruments went down first. Down first, then up. Bonds needed a 12, 10 to 12 bracket. 10 to 12 bracket. I'm never going to make that mistake again on bonds, ever, ever, ever. And, is it a mistake when every CPI report over the past 4, 5, 6 months, the bracket was correct? We're seeing more and more volatilities coming back to these reports for a variety of different reasons. Scrutiny, questioning the numbers, importance of the data because of the Fed. Some of these reports got very quiet for a while, and now they're not. And that's why. RTY, what was your bracket on RTY, BC? RTY, notice no move down. No move down. When we have an RTY setup, our brackets are quite a bit smaller than NQ or YM. And YM had that move down, it appears to me. Let's look at the 6J. Looks like 6J had a very big move down. Let's see what we call very big. Bigger. What happened to the days 15? I might not have had the 6J work. I might not have used a 20 bracket on the 6J. It's something we got to remember. Ray, more people have problems getting MNQ fills probably than most other instruments for whatever the reason. Um, Orders not being available, I guess, although it always surprises me because prop is sim. Why is that even a question? If you know what I'm saying. Right? The prop we're using, it's sim. Why is there a question about order fills? There shouldn't be if it's sims. I don't know. If they're doing some, I'm not going to say some manipulation. I don't want to say that because that I don't know. But something doesn't always make sense about the data. Let me just save Ray's picture. Thanks for that, Ray. But I think on some of these reports we'll go to full-size instruments. And look, very honestly, one of the reasons we've been micros also is because we've blown up some accounts on CPI and PPI more, and that's why we've been more conservative. We don't want people blowing up their accounts. But these reports have been trading very well. Very well. Do you really think producer prices fell? Does anybody really believe that? Does anyone believe that? That producer prices fell? Anybody on this planet other than, fraudulent politicians on all sides? Excuse me for eating. So this was definitely a breakout for all. Sander broke out. That's the micro DAX, right? Micro DAX. Listen, you guys, we're going to stay. For some reason, it's saying my headset is not working. Maybe I can fix it without rebooting. Yeah, the mini DAX. It's a mini DAX, not a micro, right? All right, first things first, I want to thank everybody on YouTube for joining with us this morning. You've seen a lot of pretty good trades as of late. There's always a couple of difficult ones. But on YouTube, I posted our link for our webinar on Friday. We're going to do a range trade webinar. And on YouTube, I'll also post a link right now so you can join our service. Why would you not want to join us? There's no delay. YouTube has a delay in the trading. When you're in the trade room, there's hardly any latency at all. So here's a link to join us. And thank you for watching. We're not streaming tomorrow, but I believe we're streaming the day after. So thank you on YouTube. I'll see you next time. Have a great rest of your day on YouTube.